Previously, in the anime, Rudd was a tank in the hero's party, but his absorbed shield, which was maxed out at 99.99, dropped to 0 instantly for some reason in a boss fight. So the hero disrespected him and kicked him out for being a useless tank that can't take damage, so Rudd decided to move to his hometown to live with his sister. But along the way he saved a homunculus that was created illegally. She had identify skill, so she tells to Rudd that he had 2 skills. The first was that he could absorb all of his party's damage, and the second was to convert that damage into attack, so he was happy that he wasn't useless, and after some time, Nin comes to Rudd because Hero's party got broken. Hero had the skill that needs to sacrifice shield points to make a strong attack, and since he kicked out the strongest tank, he had become a useless moron, but he doesn't care since Rudd wanted to explore the dungeon to find a wish-granting orb to cure his little sister's illness. And Rudd is a cis-con brother. And Manisha also acts cute and adorable. She sits on his lap to read the newspaper with Rudd, and she had noticed that Nin was head over heels for Rudd. But Manisha thought Rudd was holding back because of her, so Rudd tells her that he wanted to focus on dungeon, so he's not confident he could manage both romantic life and adventuring. But Manisha believes in Rudd that he can handle both and tells him to take care of her as well when he finds a wife in the future. But after that, Fish gathered up a night battalion because of the appearance of a chameleon Kong monster that was spotted, but for extra safety she called Rudd and a new adventurers party for help. But the adventurer that was called started looking down on Rudd because Rudd was F-rank adventurer, so Nin tells them that Rudd is powerful enough to be her knight. By the way, she's a saint and duke's daughter, so everyone were surprised. Apparently higher ranker means more work in dungeon. So Rudd never raised his rank in the guild because he wanted to find the wish-granting orb for Manisha, but there the Kong monster attacked them, but not just one but 2 Kongs. But with the joint effort they killed both monsters easily, and seeing Rudd's power that boy came to apologize for rudeness, but suddenly that Kong got decimated into ashes just like a homunculus. And up ahead was a new dungeon, so someone was using monsters from dungeon for experiment, but before worrying about that, the Avancia threw a party because a dungeon appeared. Because it would bring in a lot of adventurer and that will benefit the town economically, but on one hand it sounds nice, so Nin explains the side effects, that is, if the monsters aren't defeated in the dungeon, they comes out and could potentially attack any civilians, so that is why adventurers had to kill monsters regularly. But anyone could become an adventurer, even a person with criminal mind, and for that, clans are created to keep adventurers in check, and Avancia has very few adventurers and knights. So a clan is important now that the dungeon had appeared, and also, to keep those traveling adventurers in check, they were fighting to prove that their own clan is the biggest and best. But seeing Rudd, they knew it's best to back off, and then, Gwyld called out Rudd to discuss what the nobleman of this land had orders. He gave him 2 options. Create a clan or destroy the dungeon because that's the Lord's order. Creating a clan and becoming its leader means Rudd can't travel to explore the dungeon, and he needs to find the wish orb in order to cure Manisha's illness. And destroying the dungeon means he destroyed the chance for Avancia town to grow economically, and the situation of Manisha was getting worse, so he chose to destroy the dungeon for Manisha's sake. But Luna suggested Rudd to choose a proxy to look out for the clan. Luna volunteers for the job for a better outcome rather than choosing one, and even Nin joined the clan to help Rudd. And immediately after creating their clan, they once again met Lilia and Lily, their old teammates because the hero Kijilas and their party just explored the Avancia dungeon. But after getting beaten up he called Rudd for help. He was in tough shape. He tells them the reason was a sentinel guardian of the dungeon, sort of like boss. So he wants Rudd to take care of that boss. He knew Rudd was fighting for his sister and started to reflect on his mistake, so he apologized, and then Rudd and their party moves in the dungeon through the dungeon gate. That magic circle teleports them to the first floor of the dungeon. And every floor has its own circle to move upwards or leave the dungeon, but Lily got a skill called Dungeon Walk to move freely on those floors they had visited. So the exiting the dungeon was easy with Lily around, and so on. The party slowly begins to move forward on the dungeon floor, and when the last floor was right ahead, their party took a break to catch a breath. After that, they enter the boss floor and the boss turns out to be a humanoid guardian, Marius. He was a sword demon and the whole party puts up a fight against it. Still they didn't even land a single hit on him, so to make things more fun, Marius transforms into a bone monster. His attack got way too heavy for Rudd to block, but another tank took its attention, and after a wide-scale attack, Rudd used his damage conversion skill to attack the giant. But it did little to no damage, so Lily passed out from exhaustion, and the other tank was also near its wit's end, so Rudd takes the whole fight on himself, and seeing that everyone got back up to support him, their Lily and Lilia used a fusion magic to fuse together with a kiss, so now, once again, their party was matching up to that boss. And Rudd attacks it with damage conversion magic and finally beats Marius, so he accepted his fate to die happily, but Rudd never planned to kill him. He wants Marius to keep managing this dungeon so that Avancia town could flourish. Marius agreed, and Rudd got the wish orb he was finding in return for sparing his life. So he gave it to Manisha so that she could cure her illness. That wish orb healed her illness a little bit but not completely. So Rudd decided to explore even more dungeon to get the wish orb to completely cure her illness. And soon after that, the town was bustling with adventurers, so Lilia told him to form an alliance with other clan for help. But they are unlikely to help because they would want something beneficial for themselves, and Rudd had nothing to offer. But still he sends out the alliance request to Black Dragon and White Tiger's clan, and there even Marius came in to ask for help. He wants Rudd to help him manage the dungeon, but he is busy as it is. So Marius joins his clan to help him out there. In exchange, Rudd agreed to manage the dungeon. They goes to dungeon where Marius lives, where he had a lake that displayed all the floors and adventurers, and when the monsters hit the adventurer and damage their shield, their system gets points. And with those points, he could spawn a monster anywhere, including the legendary class, but it required far too many points, but to solve it, there was a gacha to spawn a random monster. So Rudd gave it a shot, and the slime spawned. It took a liking Rudd, and this would really help Rudd to keep the adventurers coming to the town. But first he needs to sort out some things at their clan, so he asked Marius to keep working for a little while until he completes his work, then he returns back with the slime. And Manisha and Luna instantly fell for that adorable monster, but at the same time, both clan leaders of the biggest clan were holding a ball, so they sends the invitation to Rudd. But they rejected his request of alliance, because they wants Rudd to serve under them, and more so they demanded Neen for an exchange for a cooperation. Neen was a famous saint. But Neen is a precious friend, so Rudd never intended to trade Neen to them. But there Marius tells everyone that Kiel town had its own dungeon where both big clan are situated. And both clan were unable to move further than the 50th floor, so Rudd planned to clear out the 50th floor to show those big clans his powers. So they attended the ball and Neen caught everyone's attention, but they were openly criticizing the small clan she was in. But then the sub-leader of the Black Dragon and White Tiger takes the stage as host and calls out Neen. They were just crossing the line, so Rudd joins her on stage. So that Ike knew Rudd was a member of Hero Party but got kicked out, and Ike reveals he was the one who suggested Hero to do this. He thinks tanks are useless and that is why he wants Neen to join his clan, but that was enough to piss Rudd off and he rejects their offer to trade Neen for alliance. Rudd openly challenges the top clan that he can conquer a dungeon that they failed to conquer, and both leaders of the biggest clan heard this and showed their interest in Rudd. So now Rudd's next move will be Kiel Dungeon. But that's where the video ends for today, but stay tuned to watch more of this anime on my channel. Until then, take care.